Hello and welcome back to the Introduction to Ayurveda series. So in today's video we're continuing our journey through the doshas and we're looking at Vata Dosha. So last video we looked at Kapha, today it's all about Vata. So each dosha, as you may know by now, has two elements associated with it, or that it's made up of. And for Vata, they are air and ether. So Vata is really that kind of spacey dosha that's all about movement. And the season that Vata Dosha is most dominant in is autumn. As if you think about autumn and the winds that we get, it's that. That's what Vata Dosha is like. And then winter as well, especially here where I live in the UK, winter's really a combination of Vata and Kapha, depending largely on the day, to be honest. So those are the dominant seasons for Vata Dosha, and that's when all of us, no matter what our nature is, will feel a bit of an elevation of that dosha within us. So talking first then about the positive things that Vata Dosha brings to us. And it's all too easy to focus on the negatives with the doshas, and they have some wonderful qualities and we need them all. So Vata Dosha, if you have a lot of Vata Dosha within you, you might be a very, very creative person. Vata helps us connect to that creativity, that creative energy, that intuition, that sense of like flowing with ideas, and that kind of playful quality, as well as sort of like thinking kind of around problems outside of the box, that sort of thing. What might we experience on the kind of more challenging side, let's say, if we've got a little bit too much Vata Dosha within us? We might find that we feel anxious, we get stuck up in our head a lot, so thoughts whirring around, just like those autumn winds blow the leaves around. We might have all of these thoughts. We might feel overwhelmed as well because of that. We might get loads of ideas and feel quite scattered because we don't know kind of what to do first, or we might sort of go from one thing to another thing to another thing. We might feel then quite disorganised because of that. And we might also have kind of erratic energy. One moment we're like bounding around with all these ideas and enthusiasm, and then we just kind of, we've lost it all. Our sleep might be troubled, so we might have insomnia, especially because of those whirring thoughts. And digestion as well can be quite erratic. So what are some things that we can do to bring Vata into balance? And as always, there's so many things, and really it depends on you and your life as to what's going to work best for you. And if we were working together one-to-one, that's exactly what we'd be looking at. What could fit into your life? But here's a few specifics that could work really, really well if you're feeling any of those effects of that elevated Vata Dosha. My number one tip for Vata Dosha is to find a sense of grounding. The best thing for me for that is to go outside. If you can, get your feet on the ground. If you can get your feet on a natural surface, so grass, soil, if you want dirty feet, sand, rock, and really feel that sense of the earth beneath you, that's going to really, really help bring the energy down out of the head into the body. Just looking out at the trees can be really helpful. Taking a slow walk in nature can be really, really good. So we're getting out of our minds and just back to nature. Grounding activities like gardening or something like that could be really helpful, or maybe mindfully cooking a nice meal. Speaking of food, grounding foods and spices, so avoiding kind of stimulating things. So if you are feeling that excessive Vata energy, try and avoid caffeine or too much caffeine if you can, too much sugar or anything like that, and bring yourself to more kind of spices like cinnamon. That would be my number one. Making a nice warm milky drink with kind of cinnamon, nutmeg, a little bit of ginger, that kind of thing can be really, really beneficial. A little bit of cacao if you have it, cocoa powder, whatever you want to add, that's kind of really soothing. Foods that come from the earth, like root vegetables, anything that makes you think of the ground when you eat it, if that makes any sense. To me, beetroot does that, and beetroot's are really grounding for Vata. And then the other thing would be meditation, but if you can get a guided meditation, maybe one that's kind of breath-led, so that your anxious mind doesn't start dancing all over the place. So guided meditation, where you've got somebody else's voice to just guide you and bring you back into that present moment awareness, so that you're not letting your anxious thoughts kind of take over, because that can be very challenging for Vata types in meditation. So there's a few tips for bringing Vata back into balance. And if you haven't already, do head over to my website, being-change.com, and take the dosha quiz, because then you can find out what your most dominant dosha is, and you'll be emailed some PDF guides to each dosha with more information and more tips and tools for grounding and balancing them. So thank you very much for watching. If you're enjoying this series, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, to subscribe to the channel, and to share with anybody you know who might benefit from these little bits of Ayurvedic wisdom. See you next time.